Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at the newest expansion for the Epic Alliance Disney Sorcerer's Arena, and this one is called Thrills and Chills. Has 3 bad guys. Okay, we all know Jack Skellington's not actually a bad guy, although he is, honestly. He should have just stuck with his own holiday. But then we got the Horn King from the Black Cauldron, fairly unknown character to kids these days, but cool. And Mother Gothel, she knows best. And wow, she's evil. So there's 2 evil and one people think are evil. Anyway, this is the Halloween set of sorts. 3 new characters. We're going to take a look at each of these characters, and then we'll be back. Okay, so let's first take a look at Mother Gothel. Mother knows best. Now, she's interesting. Well, they're all interesting, but she has 7 hit points, but 6 victory points if you take her out, which is a pretty big swing, and that's because her action cards are particularly powerful. So her Crush Dreams, you can make someone reveal their hand after you upgrade her, and they banish 2 cards. So it's not a permanent special ability, but really annoying to banish cards from the character. You can really get rid of stuff someone else has. But you can also reveal the top card of their deck. If it matches someone who's next to her, they banish the card, otherwise she gets 1 stealthy. So they usually probably won't banish the card. They might at the beginning of the game. But getting stealthy can be pretty good. You know, that's useful. But she also has cards that work with that. The Sinister Scheme card is pretty potent here. If she has stealthy, you ignore all status effect on adjacent rivals. Yeah, Stitch, that includes you. And does 4 damage to one of them. If she doesn't have stealthy, she gets stealthy and does 3 damage. But that top one is really powerful. Speaking of ignoring status effects here, do 2 damage to someone, then get rid of a status effect. Or do 3 and draw a card. A lot of choosing, and in fact, one of her cards allows the opponent to... I love stuff like this. You pick someone else, and they choose 2 things. They either have to banish a random card from their hand, she recovers 3 health, or she does 1 damage to each character on their team. Here's the thing. That doesn't matter what they pick. They might be like, I'll banish a random card, but they still have to pick one of the other things. Very, very cool. Move someone 2 spaces, and she moves 2. So that's kind of interesting. Not as interesting as other ones. Do 3 damage to someone next to you, and do 1 to each princess in the arena. Exert control. The ultimate, the gaslighting card here. And then moving in the shadows. And if you can move twice if you move next to somebody else. So I like this a lot. This also lets you move attacking, then get out of there. So she's a pretty strong character. Like I said, her cards are what make her powerful. Then we have Jack Skellington, who might be, he's my favorite character from this set, I think. And he might be one of my favorite characters in the whole game. Now, he has 10 health. And on his turn, it's his special ability here that rocks him out. You like status counters, he has status counters. In fact, this set adds a new status counter, which is Afraid. So Afraid is, it also had some status counters from previous sets, but Afraid is useful because when someone's afraid, they have to use their movement phase, and if they end their movement phase next to someone else, they take 2 damage. So basically it's saying, get away from me, or you're going to take damage. But if he upgrades, whenever he adds or moves a status counter, he can put an extra status counter on it. So he gets to add extra status counters, and he can discard cards to move a status counter from one character to another character. So if you give someone Afraid, for example, and one of their other characters has Strong, I can move a status counter off of Strong and onto Afraid. That's really amazing. I really like being able to take something bad and make it good, or you can even make something good and turn it bad, but on your own team, you might want to make it bad good. And he's all about that. He gives someone 2 Afraid, 2 Immobilize, and 2 Fluster. Then they take damage equal to the number of counters on it. This is like one of the best cards in the whole game. Here's someone next to you gets 3 Strong. Here's someone gets 2 Afraid, and then 2 damage to someone who has at least 1 status effect on them. He's all about status effects. 1 damage he's adjacent, 2 to each one who has Afraid. Here he can do 2 damage, and then they get 2 Afraid. Here he can move and draw a card, move 4 spaces, move 3. And until the end of this turn, whenever a rival is dealt damage, they gain your choice of 2 Afraid or 2 Immobilized. The status effects are a lot of fun in this game, and the fact that he adds them and then causes them to do even more damage, he's just a fantastic character. It seems like in each of these expansion sets, they're going to add one more, kind of complicated character, and in this set, it's the Horned King. The Horned King is really cool, don't get me wrong, I like him. He can only move once. He's kind of a slow mover, but he comes with these 3 tokens here. So these are going to be his followers. They're called the Cauldron-born. And these represent undead soldiers. They don't have any attributes, so it means you can take them right out. And they're considered basic characters. They have 1 health. They're pretty easy. They can't have status effects on them, but they can do stuff. So eventually, whenever he gets victory points, if you have 2 or less, you get to add 1 adjacent to him. And he can move one of them 2 spaces. Now, they don't have any necessarily attack, but if he gets a special ability in this game, he can cause them to take damage at the beginning of each of their turns, and then his cards are going to affect this. Here, if there's 2 or fewer, put 1 out, and they do 1 damage next to them. Rise, Cauldron-born. Feed the Cauldron, banish 2 cards to put another 1 out, and they do 2 damage next to them. Here, and that one of them does 3 damage next to them. So you're not doing as much damage. You're sending out your Cauldron-born to do it. And there's this Foul Follower, of which there are 3 cards in your deck. Let you move 1, 2, and do a damage. Then you move 2 and do a damage. So you're going to be constantly moving around and attacking the enemy with these guys. And they're going to be kind of annoyed because they're out there. Now, if you have someone who, like you saw, I think it was Jack Skellington we just looked at, who could do 1 damage to everyone next to them, that's dangerous. These guys are not great with area attacks and things like that. But the Horned King, while it's kind of, you got to make sure you get these guys set up and moved around. But if he can do that, he can be very powerful. Just like the Mother Gothel, though, he has only 8 hit points, but he's worth 6 if you take him out. Great set. 3 characters that I'll use all 3 of them. So the last set, I found that I'm not using all the characters as much. It added the ocean and moving the ocean tiles around. But these fit in, I think, even better than the last set does. And I really like Jack Skellington. Really is a good counter to Stitch from the original game, or Stitch from the last expansion, because Stitch is a pain in the neck. But Jack Skellington can take him out. He's my favorite character. Like I said, I think he might be my favorite character in the game. But I also like the other 2 in here. In fact, these 3, that's a potent combination. To use all 3 of these together, whew. So if you like the game, obviously you're going to like these. But this is definitely a set you're not going to want to pass by. It now adds more, there's a lot of different characters to pick from. In fact, we played through this. We did a little tournament here in the studio amongst these different characters, so you can see how many of them, I think we used all 3 of these at different points in that tournament, so you can see how they work. Anyway, I give this one a 7.5. A lot of fun, thrills and chills. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time.